It's too late.
Oh.
Greetings, everyone, my people, and internet. This is Nigel Henry again to the second day of my second broadcast. And I have with me my guest, George Kilpatrick. I'll explain the context. Why he's my guest today in a minute. But just to provide some context, why is Nigel live? I have been avoiding going live for about 2.5 years. and um, and I teach a distinction that to my clients, I'm putting pressure on them. And I say, hey, whatever I'm avoiding is the access to my greatness. Whatever I'm avoiding is the access to my greatness. Now, then I'm in another program, Russell Brunson's Two Comma Club X program. And basically, he says the secret to making money online is consistent broadcasting, publishing. So as long as you publish every day, you'll never have to worry about money again. So I've been, so this very thing that I've been avoiding is the thing that puts money in the bank. So I just decided that it's time to leverage the gift of avoidance. So yesterday I gave a talk. If you missed it, it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And it explained the theory behind avoidance. And one of the gifts that came out of that avoidance is my buddy from way back when, George Kilpatrick, saw me doing my thing. And he was concerned because of this thing that's going on here. You notice how my eyes look like it's closing? And he was so concerned. So I'm going to open my eyes. That he called me directly after the broadcast and said, Nigel, you need to open your eyes, buddy. Your video's got your eyes closed. And I'm like, wow. And then we proceeded to talk. And out of his mouth came some magic things that came from this topic. So with that said, I'm going to have George introduce himself and just give us some background about yourself and tell the people who are you, why they should be listening to you, and then we'll get into our topic. Yeah, go ahead, George.
Well, thank you very much, Nigel, for inviting me to the program. And so my name is George Kilpatrick. I'm the host of Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about, celebrating the positive achievements of African Americans from all walks of life. Next year in 2023 will be our 20th year. We broadcast every Sunday on Power 620. And then we have some of our episodes on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play, among other places. And we have endeavored to basically show what is happening in our community from a solutions-oriented format and conversation. We bring you the very best in conversations. That's how I met Nigel back in the day. And we just endeavor to continue to make sure that we're showing people what they can do to live their best life, but also show them how other people are doing it. And so wherever, you can find us online. And I've been doing this for a while. My background includes hosting a PBS television show, talk radio, among other things. But I'm really about uplifting our community and giving our audience tools that they can use to really thrive in their life and their community.
All right. Okay, let me just see if I can remember some of that. So, George uses his voice. Yes.
Yes.
And he has a platform called a radio station that reaches the masses with his voice. And the messages that he puts out causes something to happen to people. Uplift. They go vertical. And when people go vertical, they are more prosperous. They're coming up in life, right? So what is the name of your show? Uplift?
Inspiration for the Nation. George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation.
Inspiration for the Nation, right?
Yeah,
and what's this?
It's interesting, Nigel, because when we first started, it was New Inspiration for the Nation, because when we started it, But then about 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I rebranded George Kilpatrick, Inspiration for the Nation. So that is the name of our show, and that's what we do. And I'm positioning myself as that voice, if you will, to help people get information, perhaps, especially in our community, that they may not have. And when I say our community, I mean where the show originates from, upstate New York, Syracuse, New York, which was trending the other day for not good reasons. But that aside, we wanted to make sure that the people in our community had information that they could use to be better, to be uplifted, and to solve issues that they might be impacted by, whether it's financial, whether it's health and wellness, whether it is in relationships, those kinds of things.
In fact, that's one of the things that made me want you to come on this show, is because I was asking about, assuming that your message actually got out there and did its job and mission accomplished, and you were extremely successful with the work that you do, and it's time to go back to base. Right? And the boss says, how did you do, George? You're like, oh man, I changed the world. I'm like, okay. How do we know you did that? Because it's different. So, well, if we sent a survey angel back to check on your claim, what would they find in the places that you impacted? What is the new thing that you left behind, the legacy of George Kilpatrick? Talk about that.
We hope that,
Hope.
No, well, I'm going to say they will be changed.
Well,
they
let
will
me
have
just give you some language here.
Yes.
The survey angel will find.
The survey angel will find that
the following.
People have, right.
Yeah.
The survey angel will find the following. I like that. This is why I like talking to Nigel, because he always brings it back to what's really important, which is, what are the results, right? So
yes.
The survey angel will find that people are living, they're making better choices. They are, they have more.
They are disrupt to enhance.
Yes, they're right. Okay, thank you.
They are now, because
they are now.
It's the now.
They are now making better choices. They have access to better information. They now have access to better information. They now know how to be better with communicating with their partner. They now know how to, I think I said finance, but they know how to navigate all of the different financial terms. And they now know what services perhaps are available in their community that they have access to. And they now have access to leadership in our community where they get their questions answered.
I would like to interrupt to enhance again.
Yes.
I say they know now, it's in the version iPhone 4.5 of yours. I heard opportunity for upgrade, which is 5.0.
Yes.
They are now providing leadership in their community. They're not accessing it, they're delivering it. What say ye?
They are delivering it, but they're also hearing from others who have elected positions who are supposed to deliver on certain things.
I thought they became the elected officials.
Some of them have.
Don't leave that out the vision, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You must have did some good work.
Actually, I like that. What they are doing is they are now claiming their power and seeing their vision and seeing their role as being change agents in the community. That's a very important part of what we do.
If it's important, you need to say it again, because we're talking about the result, the post-George.
Right.
Result.
So they, as a result, they now see their role and their power in enacting change in the communities that they are living in. And that's really the power. Yeah, that they're now living in.
Yes, that now word changes everything. Because if we say, gonna, then some sweet day.
Yes. No,
we're done with that.
And I like that, because I think that this, in the words of Malcolm X, right? We have to make it plain, right? Make it plain. And so when we think about the people that we serve, they now have access to more information. They now are leadership in their communities, and they now see what role they play in delivering change
The
in their
only
communities.
I keep hearing iPhone 4 and I keep wanting to buy iPhone 5. Okay.
Right,
So iPhone 4 is having access.
right.
iPhone 5 is providing the access.
Providing access. Got you. All right, I stand corrected.
Dude, it's not a correction, it's an upgrade, dude. Like
Yes,
your
sir.
vision
Yes, sir.
has been upgraded to a stronger version where the impact that George left was not that people have access thing, people are now providing it. Other
Yes,
people are coming outside of the community to get the supplier. We're the supplier, I think is what you're that's the upgrade I hear. But
I
maybe
hear you.
that came after you left. Maybe.
Maybe. But you know what? But the tools, right? We now provide them tools that they then share with others in the community
Thank you.
so that the legacy
Therefore,
continues. Therefore,
thank
the
you.
thank you.
Therefore, they're the providers, right?
They're the
That's my point.
providers.
They're not going
Yes.
to the providers to get access. They are providing the access.
They are
Go
providing
ahead.
the access. Some of them are providing the access, and others of them are gaining access. So there's two
Because
different.
which one did you focus on before you met the boss?
Before the boss, I think it was gaining and rather than providing.
You know you're still here, right? There's still a chance to upgrade.
I'm upgrading, man. We're providing the access. But I think these are real, we're having this, and this is not rehearsed. This is a real-time conversation. And I think it's indicative of the kinds of conversations that we should have with one another and the kind of work that you do and helping us to see differently in real time, right? Because that's
In real
really the
time.
point.
I love
In
how
real
he says
time,
that. In real
right?
time.
In real
And
time, right?
the thing
Like the upgrade happens right before your eyes. The
right now.
transformation happens, and so many of us are used to language that's delayed or
Yes,
to
yes.
or not right
Someday.
now, someday, right?
Exactly.
And I think it's I forgot the name of the author, but the power of now, right? What is
Uh,
what are the actions that you are?
Eckhart Tolle.
Thank
Eckhart
you. I have
Tolle.
it right over there. Eckhart Tolle. The power of now. What is happening right now in this moment that is actualizing the vision, the
Now.
leadership, and the conversation that you're
Right
having
now.
right now? And oftentimes the avoidance, right,
Aha.
is of what is happening now. Let's go there, right?
Right.
Because just thinking about, our challenge, our homework yesterday was to the challenge you gave is like, well, write a list of things you're avoiding and
wait.
then handle something. But we're not there yet.
Disruption.
Okay, go ahead.
Disruption to upgrade. This
Go
is what
ahead.
I do. I'm a
But
paid disruptor.
yes.
Because every time I finish disrupting, you're going to be better off. Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So one of the things I found out that this word "we" is a virus word.
Come. All right, talk to me.
What is a virus word? A virus in general, like my background is really software engineering. And one of the things that I had, my assignment was to debug stuff, right? Nigel, here's the design. Can you make sure it does what it's supposed to do? The only reason software doesn't do what it's supposed to do because there's a bug in it. And there's always a bug in it. And that's why Apple produces iPhone 4, iPhone 5, iPhone 6, OS 10, OS 11. When you look at the release notes, it says bug fix.
Right.
So,
or they just send you the updates on your, you know what I mean? Like,
no,
right.
the upgrade is automatic.
Right.
And it just says, do you have upgrade and install? Do you want us to install it overnight or right now?
Right now.
And I prefer to right now. Like I like
always
the next
do it
level.
right now.
So the main point I'm making here for your benefit, George, is that there is always a bug. And I found out through my work that the bug is in the language. And we think with language. And if there's a bug in the language, then there's a bug in the thinking. And when you debug the language, you debug the thinking.
Go ahead.
And the thinking upgrades automatically. So here's one of the words, we. When you debug that, it means I. So now, George, tell us about what I discovered in my homework and what happened to me. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, what I discovered in the list that I made, so my assignment was to attack something that you are
I've been
avoiding?
avoiding. Come on, George. Stay with me.
Not you. Oh, attack something that
Yes.
I. Oh, okay. Because so let's talk. Let's debug that for a minute.
Go ahead.
Because if you're repeating what somebody's saying to you, that is the
Who's this you
language.
person? Who's the you that you're referring to? That's another
You,
virus word. There's
you,
no. Well,
you.
point it. Now try this out. See that finger there? It's
Yes,
called the projection finger.
yes,
And the word you is always a projection away from myself.
yes. It is.
So now I'd like you to say the word I and see where the finger points.
I.
Now just like do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now and now I'd like you to avoid attempt. It's
Okay.
now the world, the normal people speak in the you and the we. The
Mhm.
great ones speak in the I. And when you go to the boss, first name is I, just in case you wondered. Okay, so speak
Well,
like the boss.
you're the boss, though, right?
No, the
I
you.
am the
No,
boss.
thank you. But
so
point at self now. Just try
so
that as you're talking.
so I looked at the list and I wrote down some things that I was avoiding, and my assignment was to attack those something
One of them.
on one of them.
Yes.
And the thing that there were a lot of them, but I had to do it before this call, so I have to. I was like, okay, which one? So I had a difficult conversation. Actually, two of them.
That way you were avoiding.
That I was avoiding because I was avoiding, and I'm not going to get to the specifics of those conversations, but they were related to business, and I needed to have those conversations because for all the reasons that I know that you have to do certain things when things are like sort of out of kilter, and how business are. I know how
Thank you.
business is, and I know how business is. So I know how this should go.
Yes.
And when you don't do it, when I don't do it that way, I know that it's not as clear as it could be.
There's
and
some
so
consequences.
I was looking for clarity, and I didn't get clarity. I didn't get the clarity I needed. And but that was because I did not follow through early enough to ensure that everything was okay from a customer service standpoint.
So let me just summarize. Yes. Now, one thing. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge George for staying in the I. This I thing makes this conversation very, very personal. Secondly, when the conversation's personal, I feel emotions. Literally, the emotions activate. Whoa. And when I generalize that, how you have to have a conversation, and you see that I can speak like
I see what you're saying, because what then happens is you get to disassociate.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that even as you
now say that in the first person.
I get to disassociate. Yeah.
And now I'm comfortable. Right.
Yeah.
The thing about avoidance is they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And therefore I avoid them. And when I talk about them, I speak like, we're all like that. And you know how it is. And no, I don't know how it is. It's personal. And that's why I'm avoiding it. Go ahead. Yes.
And that, but you I mean, you are you and I am me. So
no,
I don't think you can avoid, but the thing is, you can't avoid that word you.
Well, I'm not saying, listen, what I say is what happens when I just substitute it globally. Just practice that. What happens?
Okay.
Something happens, and the word is activation, not transformation or inspiration. Activation. Something happens in your temple, my temple.
Let me. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, but I want to ask this though, because when I think of the word I, and I think about when I am is a prayer, right? So you also want to be careful, as I'm thinking in this regard. I want to be careful about how I use that, because what comes after that
is affirmative.
Is affirmative. So how do I acknowledge and not bring into that thing that
Thank
I
you.
don't want more of.
Oh, George, man, you went there. You took us to the place that I've been avoiding bringing to the general public. George, I'm going to summarize your question. And then, because you literally, there's a little wall that the regular human doesn't go past. And we're skirting it right now. So Nigel is asking me to speak in the first person, the I.
Yes.
I'm hearing an echo. Is it me or?
I don't hear an echo.
Okay. And it's saying, speak in the first person, Nigel. And I'm aware that when I'm speaking in the first person, it's an affirmative speech. And whatever I'm saying right now, especially if I add the word now, I am now, blah, it's going to happen to me now. And George expressed a concern called, what? There's this thing that will bring it into being. And how do I avoid bringing something that I don't want into being? That thing there, speaking in a manner that manifests what I don't want, is the virus debugging. And it turns out the virus word, that the number one virus word that causes the manifestation of what I don't want, is the word don't. So the main thing is, I have this whole practice called virus awareness mastery practice, and it's literally to pay attention to my speech so that when I notice the word don't appearing out of my mouth, I catch it. And I'm like, whoa, my intention was to say blah, but what I said is what I don't want. See, it's actually the word don't that causes it.
So, okay, let me ask you this. Do you, Nigel, want a piece of chocolate cake or not? What's the answer?
Whoa, that's so rich in virus talk.
Do you want a piece of chocolate cake or not?
I know. I'm going to show you, my friend.
I want to hear the answer. And I use that because how do you answer that question? First
of all, is George aware that the word you is a virus word? Want is a virus word. Not is the mother of all virus words. Is George aware of that? I'm just asking. This could be
no, but I'm speaking to you.
I understand. The word you is a virus word.
Right.
The word, and so now I'm going to say the same question minus virus word.
Okay.
Do I prefer chocolate cake?
So I'm asking you though. I can't ask me. Right.
What I can ask me.
You can ask yourself. You can re-ask yourself. I see.
What's this, George? I know it's a new practice.
So I'm gonna say, hey, Nigel, you want some chocolate cake?
I know, George. I know what you're doing, man. You're saying, Nigel, how does one navigate asking another being without the word you? I know that's the question. It's a skill. Let me demonstrate. George, I prefer chocolate cake. Does George prefer the same? Notice I started.
Yeah.
Any virus word there?
No.
What I did is I used myself as a model and then inquired if George and Nigel are the same.
But you said prefer. Isn't that a same thing? I prefer, I want. Oh, you have a preference. So you're saying preferences and wants aren't the same thing.
No, they're not.
I want a blue car. Okay, hold on.
Hey, let me demonstrate.
Let's walk through the virus. I want a blue car. I prefer a blue car.
So here's the difference. Let me show you. The word want, what does it actually mean when you examine it?
It's putting off prefer, like no.
Let
me go through.
He's working it out. Work it out.
So what is want? Want is a virus. Want is not now.
Thank you. Right there. So that's an issue. Right there. That means, and the scriptures speak about that. Thou shalt not want. Keep going. What means?
Or because I was thinking, right? Or I can, let's say if I want to get married.
Wait, stop, George. I'm going to show you. This word want is what's affecting the community that you're serving.
Go ahead.
The word want means I do not have now.
Correct.
That's what it means.
Okay.
I do
Okay.
not have
I do
now.
not have
And
now. Okay.
that's an affirmation of poverty.
Ooh.
Yes, George.
Mm.
Ooh, that one struck home.
Yeah.
George,
Mm-hmm.
when I say I want some water, what I'm saying, I do not have water now. That is an affirmative prayer, George.
Mm.
That is going to manifest in that community. Thou shalt never have water ever.
How do I get the water?
You just
What?
say, I have water now, because that's what I'm affirming, and I will take action in alignment with my affirmative speech.
If water
See,
is not present right this moment,
me,
how do
my
I get the
aware,
water? If
that
I,
is where you're asking for manifestation, George.
how do I get the water? Let's get that water.
George, I'm going to tell you, you're saying to me, Nigel, please manifest some water. Yes?
Yes, yes.
Manifest means to bring from the invisible into the 3D measurable.
Right.
That's how all things are created, George.
Okay.
All things comes from the invisible spirit, God, and comes into reality based on speech.
Mm.
Let there be light, bam, out of nowhere, light. Let there be food, bam, out of nowhere, food. Dude, everything that is manifested on earth by man comes by man speaking itself.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever thou thinkest, thou speakest, and thou shalt haveth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What thinketh, George? I know you're thinking, so I'd like to hear your thoughts on loudspeaker, brother, because you're making me work here.
I get. I'm thinking about water.
Water
And so
can be, yes.
so I want to know, and this is, I mean, I
Want.
know it sounds,
Wait.
it sounds,
It's just the want word I'm paying attention to.
all
I
right.
want.
I know that I know that people are saying, oh, what's this? Does this make sense, or this is a game or anything?
Some people, yeah, go
but
ahead.
I'm saying to you, so if water,
If
I am desiring water, how does one manifest that water? If
thank
someone,
you.
okay, so that's the question. And so how does one manifest something
That is invisible.
invisible or is abundant, but it's not? So this thing does not have
Yes,
water in it right
in
now.
it. But I intend to have it.
I intend to have some water.
Notice the speech.
I intend to have some
Intention.
water.
The
Right?
key word is intention. All
So,
things are manifested from intention. Yes,
okay.
George.
So how does this intention right now?
Yes,
I'm parched.
I love it.
Have
That's
the
a beautiful.
intention of water.
Yes, George.
What
Talk to
is
me.
the matter of how
What is the
the
mechanism?
way? What is the
The
mechanism for this
for
cup?
bringing this water into 3D. Yes, yes,
How does
Nigel.
that happen,
Bring it.
Nigel? And
Show
what's
it
the
up now.
language? What is the
I'm
language
with you.
that'll put some water in
George,
this thing?
Thank you, George. Beautiful question. This is like, okay, brother, show me your stuff.
Show it to me, brother. Show it to me. That's why
So
we here.
George, this is a micro express. The water represents prosperity in the community.
Mm-hmm.
The people are saying we want wealth, we want freedom, we want. Want means we don't have. They're affirming lack,
Mm-hmm.
and it's being manifested. So the first thing is stop the people from saying they want anything. Better to say we intend having wealth. We intend having freedom. We intend having $2 billion in our community. That is our intention. Can you feel the language shift right there? Everything has to be switched back to intention, George.
So we
The water's
sitting around.
coming.
So the waitress comes around and says, "Do you want some water?"
Wait, George. Wait, you're jumping ahead.
Oh, I'm
George,
jumping ahead. Oh, you still working it out? Okay.
No, I think I gotta get you to follow what I'm saying. The first thing is I'm sitting at the table and I feel the gift of thirst.
Yes.
And it's the body says, liquid, please. And out of my brain, I say to George, it is my intention to have water to nurture my body. George, Did you hear that? And George says, yes, me too.
Yeah.
So now we have intention spoken.
Okay. And then what? What?
I know. Slow
How
that. This is where I'm going to slow it down
you
right
slow it
here.
down? Okay, because my
This
next
is
question is, how does that intent
I know, George. I know.
get the?
I know what your next question.
I'm quick. I'm quick.
No, but slow it. I know you're quick. That's why I'm slowing it down like the Matrix.
Yes. Go ahead.
Slow it down so we can see the distinctions, because that is the thing that I'd like to bring to your awareness, that the last thing that was spoken, my intention is having water now. Notice that? That is like miracle, please. That's one of these. Water. And depending on who I am, George, that water will arrive now or later. Is that true? Let me just, that's a what do you call a hypothesis? Depending on who I am, will determine the speed at which that water gets in that glass. What are you thinking? I see the thinking.
My thinking is that works well for me and my actions, but other people are involved.
Whoa, that's why I don't like to talk about anybody but me, because everybody on earth has a first name called I. Everyone.
Yeah. So
no one. But by the way, George, next time you're in a group and you say, raise your hand if your name is we, and see how many people raise their hand. And then raise your hand if your name is you. Raise your hand. But raise your hand if your name is I, and everybody will say I.
Right. Are you trying to eliminate the word we?
Did you see I? No, I'm saying it's a bug.
Yeah.
It's
see
with all bugs, you have the option of keeping it and downgrading, or removing it and upgrading. Which one's your choice? Which ones does George prefer? Upgrade or maintenance of iPhone?
But I think what's I understand it, and I can roll with that. It's metaphysical. I get it, but
it's not metaphysical. It's practical.
It isn't practical to me, because where 2 or 3 are gathered, that's a we. Okay. So
I know,
it's not.
George,
it's not.
if you
It's not 3 eyes. It's a we. So therefore.
So George, what if Nigel disagrees with you?
Huh?
If let's just say there's a debate between Nigel and George.
Yes.
And George says where 2 or 3 are gathered, that's the we, and Nigel said where 2 or 3 are gathered, that's an I. Which one of us is right?
I am.
And what if I say I am? Notice which word you're using for that.
Right.
It's not we are.
I am. I'm right about that.
I agree. I am is always the right one.
I agree that we are 2 people on this call right now.
Now, I'm just saying that's an agreement that was made and has caused a bug in the world. I choose to break that agreement.
So now I can really get silly now.
Yes,
please. So this is blasphemous. I'm gonna say it. This is because this is your stuff. This ain't my stuff, folks. This ain't my stuff.
This is Nigel's stuff. I own everything.
This is so when the civil rights marcher says we shall overcome, they didn't, because they didn't say I shall overcome. That's your thinking.
Wait, no, that's a projection of my thinking. Are you asking me what my thinking is?
But they said we
I know they did.
And we could never sing that song again, because
I did not say that, George.
Okay. I got to take it to the extremes.
I know. I think you're right. I think what you're doing is testing the hypothesis.
Yes.
So I'm saying if Nigel had to play the tape again, and whoever wrote that song, We Shall Overcome, I'd go and say, I'd like to upgrade it, please, everybody. Nigel's removing the word we from the notes, and everyone will now say, I shall overcome.
And march together collectively. I shall overcome.
Because you know why? After that, after you move, that song stays with you. But when it's a we thing, it only exists when the collective are there. But when you leave, you still own that I'm. You take it home with you, and then you transfer it to your children. The magic of the word I is that it transfers faster than the word you and we. If you want to go viral, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But what I'm also hearing you say, it's not an absolute. That's how I'm interpreting that.
Yes, I'm saying it's an agreement, George.
Practice the I, understanding that yeah, there's two people and that's a we. That's how I see it. But
Up until
but,
now.
but up until now, well, yeah, I don't right. But I'm also hearing you say, but like, let's. I was so I wanted to deal with something that happened to you yesterday, because I think this
Yes.
was also something that I wanted to instruct our audience on, and this
Amen.
happened yesterday.
Yes.
I called you to tell you
I,
that you put
my
up this
eyes were closed.
video that, huh?
My eyes were closed.
Yes, your eyes were closed. And I said, Nigel, I love what you said. And then you said, but I made an agreement and for I was overdue.
Yes. I've been
I'm
avoiding.
overdue. I was avoiding this thing. And so I just put it up. And what I said to you is that I said, that's really one of the key things to avoidance is that you're waiting. I don't know what to do with that because I'm talking
Go
about
ahead.
you,
Just
but
go.
I'll just say what I said. So I said, one of the things that happens is we,
Very
I
good. I
don't know what
got
to
him,
say.
people.
I'll just say
I
what I got
got
to
him.
say, then you fix it
I
later. Fix it
no,
later. Let
you're
me
doing
say it.
well, George.
Yeah.
Let me
So,
just disrupt you to say that
yeah.
it's working. The
Good.
main thing is that every time George says you and we, he stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what's changed? His awareness of language has shifted right now. And he's reconsidering. But
So I'll just talk the way I talk and we can fix it later. So I said oftentimes, maybe I'll just use myself. Oftentimes I may not do the thing because there's a perfection that I am seeing instead of just doing the thing. Because if I get in the habit of doing the thing, then I can fix it later. But the real the real beauty is just starting the thing.
thank
And
you.
even if the thing isn't perfect now, it will be because I'm in the middle of the thing. And just like any of you writing something, if I'm writing something, the first draft isn't perfect, it will be perfect later if
Later.
one keeps working on it. You see, I did that with the one and not the
George. I love George. I love George. I'm a George fan.
So,
George.
but I would say, but the fact that the video was made and it wasn't perfect gives one the
Me.
opportunity to gives me the opportunity. But it was your video. It wasn't my video.
I know. But
It was,
George, the
but it was,
beautiful thing about it, the
yeah.
way that you're speaking in the first person, I am resonating. I'm like, me too.
Uh-huh. Right.
That's the effectiveness of the I.
Oh, let me take it a step further. In other words, what I noticed in what you did is what I noticed that I do. And so
Thank you,
by
George.
speaking it in the first person,
Person.
it allows it allows
To
me,
own it.
I mean,
Yes. The
it allows
listener gets to
me,
own it, George.
right? It allows me to look at my own stuff and say, hey, that
Amen.
I read, and the reason why, and that because the thing that's really good about that is Nigel did not have to Nigel said, put your comment in, because even though that was a critique,
I.
Nigel said, put it in. I accept that critique, put it in, because I was just calling him on the low. And he said, nah, put that critique in there. Put it
Yes.
in there. Because
And I
I need
thanked
that
him.
too.
But
You did. You did.
I'm
Yeah.
like, George, you're such a blessing to me, man. So I'm going to add, this is the upgrade. So George, thank you. Oh man, I'm officially declare that George is a blessing to the planet. George, let's do a little commercial before I say anything else. Tell the people where they can find you.
So we're on a new inspiration for
We, who's we?
I my show is called Inspiration for the Nation. Every Sunday morning at 9, Power 620 and iHeartRadio app. It airs 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. And I can be found on
Thank you.
YouTube I can be found on SoundCloud. I can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play,
Thank you,
among
George.
other places. And inspirationforthenation.com, we update, tell you where I update and tell you where. But okay, here's the question, because this is one thing that is said often, and that's how you find me: inspirationforthenation.com, GeorgeKilpatrick.com, George at GeorgeKilpatrick.com.
Yes.
There's no I in team. So when you're working with a team, how do you refer to your team?
I will get to that. But George,
all right,
first of all, I want to acknowledge George for being great. Number one, George, you're awesome. That's why I promote you. You can advertise as much as you like. Everybody go see George. Number one. What I heard is I, George Kilpatrick, can be found here, and I am here delivering inspiration to the nation. That's what I am doing. It's not what we are doing. That's what I'm doing. And whoever is joining me is on my team.
Mm-hmm.
And so my team and I.
I like it. I like it. Like it.
Send it back.
Right. My team and I deliver positive, inspirational content that deals with lifestyle, health and wellness, relationship advice, and community empowerment.
Question now, George.
You love that, right? Team and I do.
Don't you feel that? Don't you feel that better?
I do. It sounds good.
It feels good, sounds good, but look at this even better. Who is the leader here?
I am.
Thank you, George. Now we're speaking English.
Let's talk. Right.
George, do you remember when you went back to the boss and said, I'm done? And the survey angel said, dude, what are we going to find? You said, well, a lot of leaders.
Right.
Do you know how they figured out the leader thing? They modeled George. And they all started saying, I and my team are up to this. And I and my team are putting water on the table. I am responsible for everything. There was no we, because nobody is responsible, George. That's the problem.
So part of what you're what I'm hearing is what I'm hearing from you is first person accountability, but also the movement. Action begets action. Movement
from the I.
I
shall overcome. When I say I'm going to overcome, I make the first move, and then others who agree with me make a move. But if we're all see, this we thing is just
let's play with that for a moment. Others,
I love George.
Others.
I love how he's thinking.
Yeah, others who agree with me. So if I am doing my thing in the way that I see, with the support of others, then
maybe with or without the support.
With or without, but obviously
I prefer support.
I prefer support, and I believe that I prefer to believe that we're better together.
I prefer to believe that I'm better with my team.
I prefer to believe that I'm better with my team.
And it's a preference. It's not an absolute. Because others prefer to believe that we are better together. And I prefer. Go ahead, George. What's your point?
What I'm hearing being said. Did you hear that?
Yes, I see it. I feel you.
Is that I have the opportunity to manifest if I take responsibility for my own.
What do you mean? If, George? Sorry. Right. If is one of the virus words. Okay.
Virus.
So there is no if.
Let's go through the virus words. But I take responsibility. I can manifest those things I desire and prefer.
Beautiful, George. I'll call that iPhone 4. Would you like to hear what iPhone 5 is?
Let's hear it.
It's just since I am 100% responsible for everything, I manifest at will.
Oh, since I am responsible
100.
But since I am 100% responsible for everything, I manifest at will. Now that
right. You added a now to that, which is even better. I manifest that will now.
I manifest that will now. Now the thing is, that works, but you got other people,
Who's this
children.
you again? Who's this you again?
Well, there are other.
I recognize other people.
I recognize other people like my partner and
Thank
my
you. But I
children.
decided that. I decided to recognize them. They've
Well,
been there all the time, but I
yeah.
get to recognize them. And as long as they join me in my intention, it's a done deal. That let's overcome right now.
Let's overcome right. And that's so let's talk about relationships. That's where I find the most challenge in
Thank
all
you.
of this, because now it's convincing the others. No
This is where
convincing. Go ahead.
let
Let
me
me say it the way I want to say it, and then you can.
well, I think what you can do, George, what you're doing is representing the common normal thinking.
All right, let's go 5.0.
Yeah, and Nigel's here for the upgrade.
Okay,
and
so
George is the delivery vehicle.
So let's talk about this.
Go
many
ahead.
of us, many of
whoa, George, you're now an exception. George is an exception. So let me give the language, George. I have observed that a lot of people, not including myself,
I've observed. Oh, so we detach from that. I've observed that a lot of people who are in relationships with other people, that's where the challenge comes in now, because they're not where I am, and so therefore there is a lot.
They have problems.
They got, but they're the people you love and care about.
Yeah, well, not you, I.
Oh, they're the people.
George
the
is
people
speaking
I
to.
love. They're the people I love and care about.
I love and care about, and
their family.
I know, George. I got it. 100%. You're real. That's real. Real talk.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk. So, George, there's a thing called intention. How can I show that in my intention and reality? Intention and reality. Most people talk about reality all the time. Man, you need to get real, Nigel. The reality is there's a lot of people in this thing and they don't read real. And then Nigel says, no, for those of us who are called to change the world, we talk about the intent first only. Because this thing, intention, will upgrade current reality. Now, which one should I talk about the most, George? Since what I speak about comes about, should I speak about my intention or my reality more than? Which one should get my voice?
Intention.
Hence, the new speaking is I intend having some water. If I say reality is I don't have any water, guess what I'm going to keep having? No water. But if I keep saying my intention is having water, at some point that intention has to move from wherever it's living in hyperspace into 3D called reality.
By actions I take, because that's the piece.
I know, that's the piece that you asked me earlier. Nigel, show me the mechanism.
What's the mechanism? And all the people who are watching this, who are commenting, I don't know what they're doing.
Show them.
Yeah, show us
the mechanism.
Wait. Show me the mechanism, or as Cuba Gooding says, show me the money.
Even better, because now, George, you're taking us into. You're crossing the border. You already crossed the surface. Now you're moving to new dimensions. All right. Let's stay with intention to reality. Because Nigel's saying, first of all, speaking in the first person, all intentions are personal. And it makes me responsible 100% for them. So when I'm in a relationship, just to deal with one of the reality scenarios, I'm in family and they're like, we are in trouble. I'm speaking for myself. I'm out here. I'm okay. But Nigel, you're part of us. I'm part of me. Now, please join me. And then there'll be two eyes. And then I'll say, I'm okay. What are you saying? I'm okay too. Great. The I rules. But when you say this collective we, the way it's been used is to drag everybody down together. We're all in this thing together. It's always about suffering together. Overcoming together. The I is a stronger word.
So I'm watching the NBA playoffs now, and when certain players take the ball and they don't share it, right? We call, they're doing ISO ball and all of this stuff, right? And I'm thinking also like in a team meeting, right? Because if I was in a team meeting and I'm constantly talking about I, and I'm not mentioning my team and the work that my team is doing in support of the thing that my team is talking about, I would be a hated boss.
I know. In normal language, yes, that's true.
So
this is how does one navigate that?
Right. How do we navigate intent?
Speaking in the
reality,
first person and acknowledging
how do
others.
I navigate intent, reality, and real world conversations in a world that doesn't speak with my intention and my
George
understanding? Come on now.
Come on, people. That was good. George is awesome.
But because that's the
George, that's the question. That is the question that all change angels are grappling with. The world has an agreement. There's no I in team, and they're like we, and this is how we play things. And then this angel comes up and says, I am different. I am want to change the conversation. They're like, you're crazy. And you know what they do, George? When someone like you or I come into a room where everyone's already talking about we, and we didn't do well today. We the team. You've heard it at post-game analysis. We didn't kick the ball right. We didn't this. It sounds great. Sounds very teamy. But I assure you, when Michael Jordan if it was in the room, he's like, man, I didn't make us win. He owns the whole game.
Yeah, but as I'm thinking as in real time right now, yes. I still, if the we or if the group, let's use that.
No, if is also a virus, but carry on, keep talking.
All right, the group is in trouble.
Yes. How do
I and the group, because there's a group.
No, George, let me stop you.
Right.
The group is in trouble.
And I'm part of the group.
I know, only because I said so.
Right. But I am part of the group.
Only because I said so, George.
Right.
If I say I am in this team, but I am not of this team, then what?
Right.
I'm in the team, but not of the team. I don't have the same mindset as the team. Welcome to Michael Jordan. I'm in the Bulls, but I am different. I can make it rain at will.
Right. But I need.
George doesn't need. He doesn't need. That's a virus word. Let me help you.
He doesn't have Scotty. He doesn't win.
George, I'm going to help you out. Stop fighting for your limitations, man.
Oh no, not that. All right. Well, so let me just use that language. I don't want to fight. I intend
to fight for my superpowers.
I intend to fight for my superpowers, not limitations. Don't trip. No.
Stop. Don't even talk about limitations. George, this is the part when you start playing with the I.
Yeah.
This realization starts occurring, which is going to be different from the team. Man, I'm powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I am invincible.
Go ahead.
I am made in the image of my manufacturer, who is almighty, and so am I. The rest of the team isn't thinking that. They're like, we're all like the underdogs. We're just normal. We got to do better. No. The I person is like, I wonder if I'm God. I can't say that because that would make me separate from the team. But I'm thinking it. And so then I start looking at the great ones. Muhammad Ali. Who does he think he is? I'm the greatest of all time.
I'm the greatest.
And all Judge Frazier, like, no, we are all this thing together. He's like, I don't care what you think. I care what I think. And I'm the greatest of all time. And wait a minute, who else? This Jesus dude. I am one with the Father. They're like, this guy is out of his mind. He thinks he's God. Do you notice as soon as I start speaking the I, there's a natural separation that comes from the masses? Literally.
Yes.
And that's an issue that George is concerned about.
Yes, I am.
The current reality is the reality is that the world works in teams and collective. And
yes, look, Microsoft even has a thing called Teams.
I know, it's very popular, but the great ones tend to start off with the I.
Mm-hmm.
All affirmations are in the I, they're not in the we.
True.
So it's an individual. So this one person steps aside from the collective we and says, I'm different. I'm on a whole different mindset here. And they become super grounded in their superpowers, George.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other people start looking at them and like, he think he's different. And I said, I am different. And then there's this conflict that happens that George is really speaking to, that the individual starts feeling the pressure to become part of the we. But the more that individual grounds into their I-ness, in Jamaica, they only speak in the I tell, I re, I and I.
I and I, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but
never thought of.
I know.
It just makes sense now.
I know it takes a while, as long as you're talking, not listening, talking. So now I speak in my I-ness and my I-tell and my I-re and my I and I. And there's an I here. And then the question is, when I'm among my other beings who are thinking, hey man, are you the I? I'm like, yes, I. That's how the rest of us talk. Yes, I. They talk to each other in the I and the I. And the I is the most high. So now I don't see my people as separate from me. I see them as the I. We're all oneness. That's the word the unity comes from. There is no difference between George and I. Because when George is speaking, he speaks as the I. And when I'm speaking, I speak as the I. This one concept brings out the concept of unity. It works when everyone is in the I. And then I'm like, well, I am powerful. George, are you powerful? Say I am.
I am.
I am. Oh, look, you're speaking in the I. That's an affirmation. So now we got this. So now you see my job is to get everyone to join me in the I. That's my mission here, George, because the power is in the I, not in the we. There's no power. Like, we shall overcome. Well, how well did that do?
You don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do
I'm
that.
not critiquing my people. They were trapped in language.
Right.
But if every child was taught from day one, I shall overcome. That
then
child
you're not
will
dependent
overcome.
on anybody else to do it.
Thank you. Your environment has nothing to do with it.
I'm not gonna say that.
I know it's a reverence thing. It's a reverence for the history.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Our culture went through a lot, and yes, that's what we had then. It's not to be dissed. It's correct. iPhone 4.
You understand that? Yeah.
I know, George. I respect the people, my people.
Come on,
but I know. But if we listen to Martin, he did not speak the dream in the we. He didn't say, I
have a dream.
Thank you, my friend. And when I say I have a dream, I start having the same dream as Martin. So Martin was doing it right. Here's Martin. Is it time?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We have fun.
Well, let's summarize.
Go ahead.
I like my people. So first of all, this is a continuation from part 1 called The Gift of Avoidance. On Nigel's side, I was avoiding having these kind of things live in public. And I just made a commitment to one of my coaches, and I said, hey, I'm going to go live every day. And she goes, do it. But I've been avoiding because I need to look good, open my eyes when I'm on camera. All these perfection things were running through my mind. And I just turned on the camera and did it. And the blessing of executing what I was avoiding, the gift of my avoidance, is out of the blue, George calls me and goes, dude, I saw you. You need to open your eyes. So I'm like, George, my man.
And we haven't talked, I don't know how many years.
20. It's 20.
At least, okay?
And so out of the gift of my executing my avoidance is George appears out of nowhere and starts talking to me. Not only does he remind me of how to appear on camera, but he's also a broadcaster. My kind of guy. He uses his voice for a living and he affects the masses. So I said, George, do the homework. And George did the homework and he touched on it. But the main benefit is here now. And we're having this spontaneous conversation, and I get to do what I do, which is I shift the bug from the language live. And I've seen George step into that reluctantly, but definitely. And he had these and then the dot starts to connect. Martin is in the I. All the greats are in the I. No one ever said, we have a dream. Yes, we were taught we shall overcome. It's a collective feeling. But if everyone was taught I shall overcome, then everyone would be affirming individually, and there'll be individual power that would not be dispersed when the group dispersed. So I don't need the group to stay in my power. This is why Michael, Muhammad Ali, all the greats are just greats, irrespective of their environment and other collective opinion about them. That's the power of the I, George. George, your summary, please.
Well, I appreciate the time that we have spent together, and I have learned a lot, and I intend to practice the I, because I and I are one.
Thank you. Before you go, the reason
Yes.
why it's important that George practices, because George's voice affects the nation. And when George is speaking in the first person, the nation who are under his voice, listening to George, will also be starting speaking with the first. And as soon as people start speaking in the first, they feel the power of the I am. And just to complete that, the I am is the name of our manufacturer.
Yes, it is.
And there's no blasphemy to represent your manufacturer, man. Because I believe it said, and God created man in his image. Right? So that I am supposed to represent here on earth.
The Father and
God
I
is,
are one.
Thank you. That up until now.
That's
All right, George. That was
Nigel,
beautiful.
what a pleasure. I'm sure we'll check. I'm sure
I'd like
I
be back
will be talking to you
with
again.
not. So just for anyone who's stuck on I'm going to put my link of the virus words in the chat.
Do that.
And then George, thanks so much. And I will invite George
will be
again.
Talking to Nigel again.
There you go.
It's all good.
Takes awareness of language. That's all he's doing, is being very careful with his language, because he now knows that it matters.
It matters. Take care.
Thank you, George.